The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. However, free speech is not absolute, and the Supreme Court has set limits through landmark cases. Political speech about government and public affairs is the most protected. Symbolic speech actions that express ideas like flag burning or wearing armbands. Hate speech generally protected unless it incites violence. Obscenity not protected if it meets the Miller test from the Miller v. California case in 1973. Defamation, false statements harming a person's reputation, with libel being written and slander being spoken. Incitement to violence, encouraging illegal acts, as seen in Brandenburg v. Ohio in 1969. Fighting words, words likely to provoke immediate violence. Commercial speech can be regulated, such as false advertising or restrictions on tobacco and alcohol ads. Schenck versus United States in 1919 established the clear and present danger test. Speech can be restricted if it presents a danger, for example, yelling fire in a crowded theatre. Tinker versus Des Moines in 1969. Students do not lose free speech rights in schools. Symbolic speech like black armbands protesting the Vietnam War is protected. Brandenburg versus Ohio, also in 1969, introduced the imminent lawless action test. Speech is only restricted if it incites immediate unlawful action. Miller versus California in 1973 created the Miller test for obscenity. It must appeal to prurient or sexual interest, depict offensive sexual conduct, and lack literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Texas versus Johnson in 1989 ruled that flag burning is protected as symbolic speech. New York Times versus Sullivan in 1964 set high standards for public officials to sue for defamation. They must prove actual malice, meaning knowing falsehood or reckless disregard for the truth. Social media and free speech. Private companies can regulate speech on platforms like Facebook and Twitter, but government censorship of social media is generally unconstitutional. Campaign finance and free speech. In Citizens United versus FEC in 2010, it was ruled that corporations and unions can spend unlimited money in elections as a form of political speech. Speech on college campuses involves a debate over safe spaces versus free expression, censorship and national security. The New York Times versus United States case, also known as the Pentagon Papers case in 1971, ruled that prior restraint or government censorship before publication is mostly unconstitutional. Free speech is one of the most protected rights, but it does have limits. The Supreme Court balances individual rights with government interests. Modern challenges include social media, hate speech and misinformation.